starting lineup effectively said to me, winning the Carabao Cup is not the priority. It's where we finish in the league. And for me, that's been my moan for the last 6 years with every other manager and every other mentality at this club. We've got to get into the habit of taking trophies seriously. I don't care if we're in transition. I don't care if we're in a new project, phase 1, 2, 10, whatever. The way I look at it is this. A lot of teams this year aren't on point. They're off the boil. That means there's an opportunity. We would have got Fulham at home in the quarterfinals. I fancy us. Suddenly we're in the semis. But because we didn't go for it, we've effectively said, you know what, there's the white flag. We'll give it a go, but we're not going to be that serious about it. And it's okay to go out of a cup. This is the problem with Tottenham. This has been my issue at this club for so long. And Frank, for me, is just playing that game of, do you know what? It is more important to be higher up in the league, and it is more important to try and stay in the Champions League, even though we know we're not going to win it. For a lot of fans, they'll say that's fine because that's part of the project, that's part of the process, and it's more important to be in the Champions League because that's how we get the money to buy the new players. But I really thought this is a competition we should have taken really seriously, especially when all the other teams last night rested players. That tells you they're not taking it seriously. So if we take it seriously, we've increased our chances of being successful at it. So when I look to the starting lineup, I don't blame him for resting Kudus. I don't blame him. But again, if we're serious about winning it, he starts. I don't blame him for resting the striker because we've got an issue with the striker. My issue with Richarlison is he's the worst of the lot. And him being there is just... I can't stand Richarlison at Spurs. I was annoyed when we signed him, and I've been annoyed ever since whenever he plays. He's rubbish. He's not a football player. My friend texted me last night and said to me, how have we managed to sign the only Brazilian that looks like he played at Hackney Marshes? I said to him,
he's so bad, isn't he? He's so bad.
That's the perfect analogy. He's awful.
Do you know what, though, Stel? I actually thought... So I went harsh on him as well, basically, in my analysis of the game. But I actually thought there were a couple of moments in the build-up play. Like those chances that we created, he was slightly instrumental in the build-up to some of those plays. Like he did come deep. His first touch from the long ball was slightly better. He laid it off to Xavi Simons in quite an effective way, who then found Bergvall and it, danced around a little bit from there. I don't want to give him too much credit because I'm with you generally. I didn't want the player at Tottenham Hotspur when we were linked with him from Everton. I was like, what are we doing here? Should have been Anthony Gordon. We ended up getting him, and nothing's changed my mind. But last night, I felt like there was a few moments in the first half where I felt like I was seeing a little bit more of the version of him that we saw in the PSG game, where he actually held the ball up quite well. Didn't obviously get on, didn't do what a striker needs to do, which is put the ball in the back of the net. But he wasn't completely ineffective. Is that fair, or did you see it?
I think you're clutching for the sake of playing devil's advocate. I thought he was god awful, man. He was god awful. He couldn't get on the end of balls. The 46th minute, we're 1-0 down. 30 seconds before half time, and he's got a clear header in front of goal, 6 yards out, and he guides it into the goalkeeper's hands. I'm thinking, dude, that was the equaliser right there. We go in at 1-1. You're rubbish. You're just rubbish. He's arguing with the referees, going to ground, all this shithousery. It's like he has no place at this football club. And at half time, he should have been hooked. Ange should have said, Frank should have said, I'm not doing this. This is a joke. I don't care. Bring on Moani at half time. If you don't want to bring on Moani, fine. Bring on Tell, who I don't rate, but he's slightly better than Richarlison. Or bring on Dane Scarlett. Give him a chance. Give the kid a chance. Richie's awful. No one's going to convince me that he's better than Dane Scarlett. So I looked at that and I thought, that's from the manager. This is the manager's choice to play him up front. And then defensively, I don't understand why Van der Ven was rested. There's no need to rest him. We're not playing handball on the halfway line, suicidal sprints back. I haven't once watched Tottenham this year and thought, I think Van der Ven's hamstring might go here. I feel so confident him on the pitch. Let him play. Rest him against Copenhagen. Let him play. Taking one of our best players this season, Paulinho, shoehorning him into the centre-back role, it wasn't needed. We didn't need to do that. So
and on top of that, still moving like Danso, who I think has been nearly flawless for me. I think he's been so impressive on the right side, and moving him to the left side. People that sit there and say, "Oh, a defender's a defender. If you can defend, you can play either side, right or left." Listen, I've never played the game, but it just doesn't make any sense to me as a logical thing. If you're a right footer and you're being asked to play on the left hand side out of as an abnormality, then crosses that are coming in from the right hand side, generally you're going to have more people in front of you than behind you than you're used to. And conversely, if people are crossing the ball in from the left hand side, you're going to have fewer people in front of you than are behind you, more than you're used to. And I think that Danso had an absolute stinker last night. And I think that the second goal, and there was a lot of chances that went Newcastle's way that they didn't take, that Danso his positioning was absolutely atrocious for. And it can only be for me because he was playing in an abnormal, unorthodox position to what he's used to.
And he hasn't got the protection of Paulinho in front of him, which he's used to when he does play. So I look at those decisions and I think we didn't need to do that. There was no need. We could have avoided that. And those factors held us back to some degree. What I'm not going to do is blame Frank for us not scoring, because yes, the Richarlison thing, I've put it on Frank, but Johnson had a really good chance to either square it or shoot, and he kicks it off the pitch. There was twice Xavi Simons running forward with the ball.
I remember that, yeah.
Honestly,
that was shocking. What was that? What was he doing with that one? Absolutely embarrassing.
I spent a lot of money having to extract hair and putting it into the ball places. It was falling out watching him play. All this money's just falling off my head. I'm like, Richie, yeah. I mean, Johnson, you've got a pass. You've got a shot. You kick it off the pitch. It wasn't even side netting. You know, Xavi Simons driving forward and either stumbling on the ball or not quite finding those passes. He had a slightly better game than normal, but still, he's not clicking. And, you know, it was just, I can't blame Frank for that. I can't blame Frank for those things. You know, these players, we say every week, they're not good enough and they let us down. So that I'm not going to blame him for.
All right, but I've got to ask you this before I bring Lubo in. It's just because the topic is about...
I was going to say about Bergvall, Sean, because you did ask about Bergvall. I don't want to take up the whole show, but I thought Bergvall he was much better tonight. But the issue I have with all our midfielders is that unless they're creating or they're scoring, just linking up the play and moving the ball around the pitch just doesn't do it for me. Either you've got to create some clear-cut chances or you've got to put the ball in the back of the net. Otherwise, you're just another number on the pitch that just receives the ball and passes it there, or receives the ball, runs forward with it and gives it to someone else. That's nice, but any half-decent player can do that. We need to see more. But it's so frustrating having watched that game. We actually could have got something out of it. We really could have. And I put half of it down to Frank, just not going for it. But I also put it down to players that they shouldn't be at Tottenham, guys. And we say every week, there's players at this club. You know, it's a miracle we're third in the league and the top goal scorers. It's actually phenomenal. And Sean, you mentioned set pieces.
Yeah.
If we were going to go down the set piece route, you need Van der Ven because he's the top man at it. He's scored 5 goals this season.
Well, and you need Kudus who can cross the ball in from certain, because he wasn't on the pitch, right? So we haven't got a corner taker on that side. But I think we mentioned this on Monday night's show. I genuinely, I initially thought about this as more of like I said it as a joke, like it wouldn't really be a thing. But I think I said to you guys, I think Stel, you agreed with me that a smart tactician like Eddie Howe, who's masterful in the dark arts, would probably observe the fact that Tottenham are a team that are more than happy to take the corner because of the way we set up naturally when we have that double pivot. Bentancur and Paulinho don't really progress past the halfway line unless there is a sustained period of horseshoe football at the top end, or unless there's a set piece. And when we got the ball last night, every time we crossed the ball in, it looked to me like the fullbacks allowed the cross to come in. It almost looked like they thought, you know what, don't let them have corner kicks, and we had 2 corner kicks the entire night. You know, and I think that without that, you're kind of then you have to rely on your offensive output. You have to rely on your open play. And I thought the open play was better, Lubo. I thought it was better than I've seen it for a long time.
Yeah.
But it still didn't have any clinical edge. Again, maybe because we rotated too much. And but I guess the other side of the argument is true as well. I think Scott M put it in there. There's no guarantee that we would have won that game had we gone full strength. And there's also no guarantee that just because we didn't go full strength last night, that we're going to therefore beat Chelsea on the weekend. Like, 2 things can be true at the same time. You could have gone full strength last night and won or lost. You could have gone full strength against Chelsea and won or lost. But, you know, do you think it was the right, you know, with the benefit of hindsight, was it right to rotate, or was it a fool's errand?
I suppose you look back now, it's easy with hindsight to say, well, you know, we should have played a full strength team and maybe we'd still be in there. But for me, well, firstly,
tell at half time, Lubo. At half time, you could see we were in it.
Yes,
yeah, we were banging the game at half time. 100%, we were banging the game at half time.
We were on top of it, actually.
And that was without Vicario, Mickey, Kudus, and Moani.
And that's the point. Bring them on.
And Paulinho at the back. So there's 5 changes there, in effect. First, I just want to say, sort of big up to all the fans. If there's anyone in listening today that was up there last night, absolutely fantastic. I've spoken to friends of mine who were up there, sort of rolled into their house 4:15, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, depending on how long coaches or the drive took and how many stops they took. Fantastic. I thought the fans were brilliant. It's a horrible journey. I'll be going up for the league game. Thankfully, I'll be staying overnight. I've got friends up there. I wouldn't like to be doing, you know, there were thousands that went up by coach.
No trains. There was no trains home, was there?
No trains after 8 o'clock. I think the club put on a coach. A friend of mine was on a coach. They picked up, I think, at Pickett's Lock around 11ish. They were, and I think it was a club coach, and they were charging a tenner, which I think was, you know, full marks to the club as well for that. There we go. Vinay. Well done,
Daniel.
Vinay.
That was a Daniel.
He's done. That's Vinay.
Big up to my chairman.
Yeah.
He's still bringing in some great initiatives.
But, you know, you look at, and I don't often agree with Scott, and he knows that, and love him to bits, but don't often agree with him, but he's right. You know, there's no guarantee you play a full strength team with a won yesterday, or for that matter, in 5 weeks' time when we go up for the league. I think we'll be better. I think hopefully we'll have some players. We'll have some players back by then. I think it'll be a big difference if we got Romero and Van der Ven, Porro and Udogie, or Spence in that back 4 up at Newcastle. But for yesterday, he did rotate. Listen, Vicario was injured. Moani, he's trying to play in gradually, isn't he? He's trying to get him match fit without actually killing the guy.
Were you impressed by him when he came on, Lubo?
Moani?
Yeah.
He came on 58 minutes, didn't he? He came with.
I don't really remember him doing anything, to be entirely honest.
Not
I know
really.
we were 2-0 down at that point, so the game was largely gone, but I don't really remember him doing anything
apart from Sar's shot that Ramsdale tipped round the post. Can't remember too much else that we created after going 2-0 down. I think our chance was at 1-0 down the first half. If we'd have scored a couple of goals, gone in 2-1 up at half time, then maybe, you know, the game would have swung a little bit. You know, maybe the result would have been different. It was always a tough ask, you know, when that draw came out, everybody just groaned, didn't they? And it was like, oh God, you know, it could have been a lot easier. Yeah,
it could have been just as difficult elsewhere, though.
It could have been.
Liverpool, Arsenal, Brighton, they're all difficult places.
Can I ask you guys then, if we lose to Chelsea on Sunday, does that then
invalidate the rotation.
Yeah. I was going to say, if we beat Chelsea, does it justify it? But same thing. Do we now have to not lose to Chelsea to make sense of the rotation or not?
Yeah, I think so. I think the fan base are ready to look for elements of the fan base are ready to have a crack no matter what. And there's a segment that we're going to talk about in a little while about are the fan base, realistic with their expectations. But I think that given the amount of injuries we've got, I think you have to rotate. I think you do. Me personally, I think that we shouldn't. I think we should have gone full strength. Personally, because I'm in the kind of camp that thinks that we've only got 2 realistic chances of a trophy this year, and we've just given one away. I'm not saying that if we'd gone full strength, we would have absolutely beaten them. And you look around all the other clubs that don't take it that seriously either. Like Wolves rotated basically their entire team. Liverpool didn't put a first team player even on their bench when they rotated. Arsenal rotated 8 players, I think. So but they still managed to get through. The rotation play is only acceptable if you win. But you have to make the decision on the rotation before you know the outcome of the game. So it's one of those catch-22s, right? But if we go full strength or as full strength as we can against Chelsea, and then we put in a stinkfest and we lose 1-0, then the fan base are going to do what they do. And you can understand it to a degree because there was a really good opportunity last night. Not saying that we would have won necessarily. Newcastle's a very tough place to play, but we could have. But they were there for the taking at half time, and in the second half we didn't turn up. So if we'd gone from it from the get go, I think we would have. We probably could be in the quarterfinals right now.
I don't think we've got a good enough squad to win a trophy this season, Sean. In all honesty, I really don't. We're miles off the top 4. The squad's thin. It's even thinner with injuries. I think we're
the same squad won a trophy last year, Lubo. No.
Yeah, but
a weaker squad won a trophy last year.
Right, but the competition was on a much lower level.
We beat Bodo last year. We lost to them this year.
No, we drew. We drew. Yeah. But the difference is that when we went to Bodo last year, we were already 3-1 up.
So we said we're going to get beaten. We also were going to lose to Frankfurt. Frankfurt away, what a hostile atmosphere. We knocked them out.
Right. Frankfurt away was a really good result. That was the standout result for the whole competition for me. The home game.
Do you not think we can beat Fulham at home next round? Because Newcastle have got Fulham. Do you not think we can beat them if we got Fulham?
But Arsenal, Chelsea, and City, I think would have too much for us in the semis.
We've beaten City already this year. Chelsea will find out what we're like this weekend. I don't know. I just think if we stay in it, difficult. There's no easy trophy to win, but of the ones we're in, this is the easiest one, I think. In fact, this is the only one I think we can win. The only one. We're not winning anything else, are we?
We've scored 17 league goals, and if you include own goal, as obviously at Brighton, you got 10 scorers for 17 goals. I think Frank has done fantastic to get us to 3rd place. I honestly do. Because this is not a top 3 team. This is not a top.
So why can't he? So why can't he win a? So Lubo. So on that basis, then why can't he win a trophy?
Because the clubs that are involved are of a higher level than they were in the Europa League.
But we're above 18 of those clubs in the league
at the moment. But when it evens itself out, we play 6 of the bottom 8 out of those 9 games. Let's see how we do in the next 3 because we're playing.
We 100. If we got past Newcastle, I think we could 100% have made it. Because people making the argument, oh look, now we haven't got to worry about the Carabao Cup anymore. All you're really gaining is 3 midweek, 3 midweeks by going all the way further, right? The quarterfinals, the semi-finals, and the finals held on a weekend anyway. So like you're gaining 3. You have 3 fewer midweek matches if you were to go the whole way. Arsenal aren't putting out their full strength team. Crystal Palace are putting out a stronger team than they probably need to. But like you say, Fulham are there for the taking. If you got Fulham, I think you could get yourself into the semi-final. And at that point, once you're in the semi-final, it's worth the sacrifice. It's only not worth the sacrifice when it's the 4th and the 5th round. But once you get to the semi-final, you're starting to get one eye on the final, and you're starting to consider, We could be a team that hasn't won a trophy in 17 years, and then you win 2 in 8 months, 10 months, or whatever. I think it's worth it, but it isn't worth it. What will the proof will be in the pudding. The only way it was acceptable to sort of rotate and rest is if you take on Chelsea and you play good football or whatever style of football, but you actually get the 3 points. Then it's justifiable. If you
just don't lose,
Chelsea,
even if we draw, I think that's acceptable because it's Chelsea, isn't it? If we draw,
yeah.
I think
I think the draw is a good result. What you do in Europe doesn't necessarily mean that you'll do, that the result will work out on the Saturday. We made 8 or 9 changes in Galatasaray last year. Came back and lost at home to Ipswich. With apart from Van der Ven, we had a full strength team. So it doesn't always work out. I'm just saying that yes, if things had gone better, if breaking it down to key moments in last night's game, if Kinski and Ritchie had been on their game, then we could have won that. Yes, beat Fulham, get to a semi. What happens? You end up probably losing, getting battered like we did at Anfield in the semi last year.
Well, I think Liverpool are out, aren't they? They're out.
No, Liverpool are out. But no, the point I'm making, if it's Arsenal or Chelsea, I'm sorry, I just don't see us beating Arsenal, Chelsea or City over 2 games. I don't think we've got the squad this year. I just don't. We can't even. We can barely hold the ball up.
So what? What are we playing for this year then, Lubo? Lubo. So what are we playing for this year?
This year is a work in progress.
I hear this every year. Every year is a work in progress.
Well, listen.
Do you know what, Lubo? Let me say this. If Arsenal win the league this year, it's not just because they've got the best squad. It's because all the other clubs have fucked around. And every year there's always a drop-off. And it's the team that's ready to pounce to take advantage. We should just at least be in a position where you never know. We can pounce. Conte said it. When we were chasing down top 4, he said, as long as I can keep us there, if the opportunity comes, I want us to be able to pounce. And we did. For me, I don't think we should just write off this season. Oh, it's work in progress. Sod that. Keep us in a place where if with 5 games to go, we can grab top 4, go for it. If we can get to a semi-final of the Carabao Cup, go for it. But we've got this habit of let's just write things off and use the excuse of project, process. Life isn't like that. Opportunities come when you least expect them. You've got to be there to take advantage. So I don't think we should just write off the season the way you're saying it. Because it's not just you, Luba, by the way. I'm not going to go. A lot of Spurs fans are doing this. It's transitional. It's project. You can do both at the same time. We can do a project and stay in contention of certain things at the same time. You never know.
Forget all the words, project, transitional, forget all of that. Football's about...
You're the one that used the words.
Hang on. Football's about players. We haven't got the players. I looked at that front line because he literally played Bergvall, Sarr and Bentancur in midfield with Simmons slightly advanced, and then he played the 2 up front yesterday. And you look at those 2 and you put your head in your hands and you think this is the worst front 2 that I have seen since Raziak and Booth 25 years ago. So I don't know how we are talking about top 4.
But yet we're the top scorers in the league, Lubo.
At the moment. So let's look at it.
What do you want me to go by? Where we are now? Where we were a week ago? Where we are in
Frank has got us overachieving. That's how I look at it realistically. I think he's done a fantastic job to get us to thirds. This is not a top 3 team. This really isn't.
Oh, you say that, but look at the other teams around us. They're all falling apart. They're all falling off. No one's consistent. Nobody.
Okay, listen. Let's
have a look. Everyone's like this.
When we play, I think it's Brentford on the 30th of December. That will mark 19 games. That'll mark the halfway point of the league. Let's see where we are there. Then we've got a realistic idea of how we're doing. Then hopefully
is the squad, if it's fully fit, a top 3 squad, Lubo?
No. This squad fully fit, I would have down as top 6. If we're gonna challenge for top four, I'm sorry, we don't have a squad like Chelsea, Liverpool, Arsenal.
Looking at the other teams this year, right? Looking at all the other teams this year, what's going on? A fully fit Tottenham can challenge for top four, no question of a doubt. Based on what I'm seeing at Anfield, based on what I'm seeing with Chelsea, based on what I'm seeing with Brighton, based on what I'm seeing with Villa and Newcastle, they're all like this.